Okay, so we are going to take some notes today. Usually we do this during our live lessons, but we are going to have you take just a couple notes in your digital notebook today, along with doing a little bit of practice. So have your digital notebook open. If you need to pause the video in order to do that, please do so. Or you can listen and then add it to your notes afterwards and rewatch it if you'd like. But we're just going to talk about some things called inequalities. And you've probably seen these symbols before, but I just want to refresh your memory on what they're called. So this first symbol, and I always think of it reading it like left to right, and you may have done that like alligator idea, that alligators always eat the larger number. Yeah, they like eat the bigger number. But you read them from left to right. So this one, if I look, that mouth or the bigger side of the symbol, it comes first. So this one is called greater than. Excuse me, greater than. So just a quick example would be very simple. 9 is greater than 5. That's what that means. That's what that symbol means, so we don't have to write the words out all the time. So then the flipped around version, when the small part comes first and the mouth is like facing away, that one's called less than. So it'd be like if we flipped it all around and said 5 is less than 9. Both of these statements are true, they're just flip-flopped of each other. And then this last one's equal to, you know this one. So like, for example, -8 is equal to -8, okay? So we're going to use these symbols to do a couple of examples, and then you'll use them to do your practice today. So we've got 15 and 20. Well, we know that 15 is less than 20. So I'm going to have the mouth facing the 20 because the mouth always wants to eat the bigger number. And so I read it left to right as 15 less than 20, okay? So now we've got -9 and -18. Negatives can be kind of tricky. You have to think backwards with them, right? If you think about our number line, remember how when we went to the left of 0 and you had the negative numbers and they would get, like the number would get bigger as you're going to the left, but really it meant it was smaller because it was more into the negatives. So that means it's actually smaller. So you have -9 is going to be farther to the right than -18, so it's going to be greater than. So -9 is greater than -18, right? It's not quite as far into the negatives. Next one should be pretty easy. -23, -23, those are equal to each other. They're just the same thing. And the last one, we've got 0 and -7. I know a lot of times we think 0 is really small, and a lot of times it is, but when it's compared to a negative number, right, you have 0 is going to be farther to the right than -7, so it's going to be greater than it, right? 0 is greater than negative numbers, okay? So those were our practice examples. Make sure you fill those out in your digital notebook, whether you did it with us or you do it now. But here is your practice for today. You have 2 things to do. One is to do 6th grade IXL M.7, similar to what you did yesterday. This is just a different one, so M.7. You need to either go to a score of 90, so you know you have that score on the side and you want to see it go to 90, or you need to do it for 15 minutes. Now that's an active 15 minutes, not just sitting there doing nothing. You want to make sure you're actively going through the problem. So either one, whichever one comes first for M.7, and then also make sure you've done extra math if you haven't done it 3 times already this week. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. Otherwise, go ahead and get started.